Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It depends on where you're watching me from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope we're all doing well. Today it's the 22nd day of the month of February, and I'm glad to be here again. It's nice to, have everyone on board. So if you are here, please share the video, share the link with your friends because today we are going to be discussing a very important topic. We're talking about building meaningful relationship, how emotional intelligence can strengthen love and friendship. You would have asked yourself many questions like the advert that you may have seen, and can you really build meaningful relationship? Is it still possible to be able to love in your relationship, to find love and also build a network, connections and friendship? Yes, it is possible, and one of the ways you can do that is through emotional intelligence, and that's what we'll be discussing today: how to build a meaningful relationship. So welcome on board. I'd like you to put in the comment section where you are streaming from. Okay, and be rest assured that we're going to be answering your questions today as well, right? If you have questions relating probably in relationship, you can send it, drop it in the chat, or I'm going to put a number that you can send it. Probably you don't want it to be live in the comment section. You can send it to a number that we're going to drop on the screen. You can drop your questions on WhatsApp on that number, and then we will bring it live. Our guest is already available. She will be coming up shortly. So please do well to share the link with your friends, with your family, even do well with your enemies as well, because it's something that probably is something that they will need in order for everyone to build a meaningful relationship, right? So share the link, let them know that we've started, let them know that we are live, and it promises to be an exciting session. And I know that at the end of this session today, you're going to learn one or two things that will help you build your relationship very well, that will help you spice up the way you connect and relate with people. Remember, it is called relationship. There is a ship, and how you relate on that ship matters a lot, right? So that's why we're having this. It's the season of love, right? It is a season of love. So many relationships are going through different kinds of challenges, right? Either a romantic relationship or your professional relationship, how you communicate, your boss, your subordinate, your downlines, and all of that. One of the things that you need is emotional intelligence. Okay, so this is 4:03. So I'll just give 2 more minutes before I bring up our guest today. And she's someone I love so much and I respect so much. And she's going to be sharing with us from her wealth of experience in the topic of discussion today. All right, so 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes to have others to join the session. We are live already. We are live already. We are live already. We are live already. Yes, I want to see in the comment section if you can hear me. Please drop or drop an emoji if you can hear me. I want to be sure that we are communicating, that you can. So I have 1 more minute, and then I talked about that if you have questions probably relating to your relationship that you want to answer, I'm going to drop it right now. I'm going to drop that number right now. So in case you don't want to be seen as the person that asked the question, so I am going to drop that number. Just send it on WhatsApp. Want to be anonymous. Okay. All right. So it's 6:05. Okay. Here we are. I am going to be introducing our guest for today. Our guest for today is no other person than Ogunjimi Ajibola. She is a mental health expert, a first aider, and a counselor, right? She's a dedicated mental health expert. She's a counselor and certified first aider with extensive experience in psychological counseling, addiction, addiction rehabilitation, psychosocial support, and mental health advocacy. She is committed to providing free mental health first aid sessions and fostering a supportive community through monthly support groups through the Heart Mind Helpers Foundation. She has a foundation that she runs, and she's providing free mental health first aid sessions in that foundation. So, with a background in counseling and human development studies and psychology, Ajibola specializes in creating safe spaces for individuals to navigate emotional and psychological challenges, empowering people toward healing, coping, and resilience. So, let's welcome in the comment section as I bring up our guest today, Ogunjimi Ajibola. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you
It's
so
nice to
much.
it's nice to have you on the session today. Good afternoon. You are
Good
welcome.
afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. Okay, so although I have informed my audience about your profile, but I will still want you to introduce yourself to our audience and let them know what you do and how they can also gain value from what you do before we go into the subject of discussion today. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I'm very happy to have this opportunity that you have given to me. I'm excited to share our conversation today with everyone on the live session. So my name is Ogunjimi Ajibola. I'm a counseling psychologist by profession. I'm also a certified mental health first aider. I focus on psychosocial counseling for people and free mental health first aid sessions. I also provide free mental health first aid sessions through Heart Mind Helpers Foundation and other foundations. And also, we have monthly support groups that we do at the end of every month. That's like the last Saturday of every month, just to help people, you know, help people deal with their psychosocial problems. Psychosocial problems like relationships, stress, work life balance, and just the basic things. So, what we do is that you have a free session with a first aider for 2 weeks. You can just share anything that bothers you concerning finance too. And then after the session, you either be referred or that would be the close of the session. And then our support group, which holds at the last Saturday of every month, is also a safe space where you can come, interact, and share how you're feeling. We have different topics for different months, and yeah, that's basically all I have to share. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much for that information. So, if you are on this live session today and you want to extend opportunities to people you know that can benefit from what she's offering, it's a good time to share this link with them so that they can benefit from it. So at the end of the session today, we will also give out more information on how you can be part of this movement. Okay, so Today, we're talking about building meaningful relationships, right? Building meaningful relationship. We're talking about how emotional intelligence can strengthen love and friendship. So, first, we need to understand what emotional intelligence is all about. So, Ajibola, can you just tell us what is emotional intelligence and why is it crucial in relationship?
All right, thank you so much. So I'll just streamline it to about five different. They just give short five different explanations that would be so easy to understand. So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions. You like manage me, my emotions, myself, and the emotions of other people, or respond to other people's emotions. So which means that how I deal with my emotions, I understand them, I'm able to manage them, and also able to manage and respond to other people's emotion. It's all about self awareness, knowing my triggers, knowing how my emotions affects my behaviors, knowing the behavior patterns that are attached to my emotions and how to respond to them thoughtfully, as well as other people's own, not just your own, but also other people's own. So it is also, like I said, is knowing your emotions. It's also understanding that you're not just understanding or managing your surface emotions, but also the deeper ones. Like before we talk about which emotions are we talking about, we're talking about sadness, the five basic emotions: sadness, happiness, anger, disgust, and fear. So those are the five basic emotions. But there are deeper emotions that are connected to those five emotions. And so it's not just about understanding those surface emotions, it's also about going deeper to understand the emotions that are beyond those surface emotions. So it's basically the ability to recognize, understand, manage your own emotions, not just the surface emotion, deeper emotions, and be able to respond well to others' emotions and yours. Now, um, how exactly can you know, or how do you know that you are able to manage your emotions? So there are some questions you can ask yourself. You can say, how well do I recognize my emotions in this particular moment? It says, how well do I react to these emotions when I'm upset, or when I'm angry, or when I'm happy? How well do I react to these emotions? How often do I listen to these emotions without interrupting them, and how comfortable am I being vulnerable with these emotions? So those are the five questions that, if you can answer these five questions, you'll be able to check or know, in quotes, your level of emotional intelligence as a person. Now, the other question was, it was why it's crucial in relationships, right?
Yes.
Just like I've explained, is the what AI is all about. It's the ability to understand, manage emotions. Now we know that in relationships, a large percentage of it is built on communication, emotional patterns, um, sorry, empathy, trust, conflict resolution, and all those things are in a way linked to your emotions. You know, it's basically how you communicate with your partner. So your partner is frustrated at home at this particular moment. How do you communicate with that person? You're trying to resolve a conflict. How do you respond to that conflict? You're trying to build your trust with your partner. How do you use your emotions to build your trust in emotional communication? How do you connect with your partner? So it's important to know that your emotions, or your emotional intelligence, is very much linked to your relationship. And like I said, because your emotions affect how you communicate, how you resolve conflicts, how you build trust, and how you are able to be vulnerable with your partner. So this is why it is important for you to increase or have a very good understanding of your emotions, because like I said, it affects the way you communicate with people. It helps in your conflict resolution relationship. It helps you communicate. It helps you be vulnerable with your partner, and it helps you build your trust in your relationship.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
like that. It helps you build trust and to be vulnerable with your partner. Very,
Yes.
very important. If you are in a relationship and there is no emotional intelligence in that relationship, that relationship is going to have, if it's new or it's already ongoing, you're going to have different kind of challenges in it. I don't want to say crisis, but I want to use the word challenges. So emotional
Yeah.
intelligence help you to, understand the other person, understand your partner from their own
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Great.
Yes.
So now the next question I want to ask is, in knowing this now, what is the role or how does self-awareness impact interactions? Now, if it can help you to be vulnerable to your
Yeah.
partner, so how does self-awareness impact interactions?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, what is self awareness? Self awareness is me, myself, as okay, let me use my Ajibola. I'm able to understand my emotions. First, I'm able to say, this is the emotion I'm feeling at this particular time. I'm not just focusing on the surface emotion, like I said. You're not just focused on that emotion, sadness, but then deeper, I feel some sense of disappointment. You being able to understand and know and put a name to that emotions. Now, also knowing what triggers that emotion. When you know what triggers the emotion and the emotional response or patterns that comes with that emotion, you are able to stay self-aware, and this will definitely help you in your interaction. So let's give an example. I don't even know why I keep picking sadness, so but let me just use the word. Let me just use sadness. So I come back from work and maybe I had a bad day, and it brings out. I just noticed that I'm very sad, but I'm not just sad. Okay, let's say I'm also, my deeper emotion will be maybe I'm frustrated at that point or disappointed. Now, knowing that deeper emotion and not just focusing on the surface emotion and saying, okay, this is how I feel at this particular time, and knowing that this is what triggered this emotion, stress from my whole particular day. And then maybe when I get home, I start to get angry with my husband, or I'm cranky at my husband or my partner. And so you know that these emotions and how they have, like the whole process from the knowing to the triggers to the behavioral patterns, will help you in your interaction. You'll be able to respond thoughtfully to the, let's say, since we're talking about relationship, to your partner. Do you understand? You'll be able to react without being impulsive. Now, as I know that, okay, I'm very sad, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, and I get home, and I know that when I tend to be sad or when I tend to be disappointed or frustrated, I will be cranky, which means when I get home, there's a way I would react if if I'm not aware of this. But because I'm aware, there's some level of precautions I would take in order for my interaction to go well with my partner or with my husband at home. And that's why self-awareness is very important in our interaction. Should be able to identify these emotions, know your triggers, see the emotional and behavioral patterns that come with it, so that when you respond to people, even just not even just at home but at the workplace, you're able to maintain your interaction with people. And that's how self-awareness helps with your interaction.
Beautiful, beautiful. You
Yeah.
talked about knowing your triggers, and that's
Yeah.
something that it's very, very key, especially in relationship. Know the things that triggers your emotion. So you should
Yeah.
know those, should I call it tips that get your
Mm-hmm.
emotion triggered, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to help you, and that is going to lead me to my next question. Because if I've seen, at least with my little experience, we have different kind of people in relationship that do not even understand their own emotional makeup. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's that before you maybe even get into a marriage or whatever, probably you're still dating at the moment, that should be a red flag for you to know self-awareness, understanding your own self, the things that triggers emotions in you, so that you will be able to, because if you cannot manage yourself, you can't manage that of your partner,
Exactly.
right? So having or knowing your emotional triggers will definitely help you, right? So if you are just joining us, welcome. Our guest is Ogujimi Ajibola. She's a mental health expert, a certified first aider, and a counselor. right? So she runs a foundation and she provides free mental health first aid sessions, and then she fosters a supportive community through monthly support group through her foundation called Heart Mind Helpers Foundation. All right, so now we're talking about knowing your emotional trigger. Now, how can in knowing emotional triggers, can emotional intelligence now can it be learned, or is it something that is hereditary or something that is transferable? How do people get to, because I believe for most of our audience the word emotional intelligence may not be a new thing, right? We have been
Mm-hmm.
hearing it often and often. I believe we have heard it more than we even know the meaning. There are a lot of people that don't know the meaning, but they just know emotional intelligence, but they don't know what it means. So, can you tell us, can emotional intelligence, can it be learned, or is it transferable? Is it hereditary? Okay.
Okay. I wouldn't say it's hereditary. I don't know, but I know it's very transferable. There's something we call emotional contagion, where when you stay with someone who is very sad, there's a huge chance that the sadness rubs up for you, and for a while you become sad, or the person is happy. But yeah, but the question is, can it be learned? Yes, it can definitely be learned. And how can it be learned? Through self reflection. Like I said, you cannot just have a perfect. So our emotions are, if you leave them alone, they can actually be very overwhelming, and they can literally affect your whole life pattern from work. Imagine you waking up in the morning and you wake up with a message from your partner that they're breaking up or something, you're sad. You know that that emotion, sadness, would affect your whole day. Do you get? So
Yeah.
yes, it can definitely be learned through self-reflection. Now you need to know that this is important to me. I've noticed that, okay, in my day-to-day activities, I lack emotional intelligence and I want to start working on it. And so you start working on it. You understand your emotions, you identify them, you know your triggers, you know. When you work on it, you practice it daily. Like they say, practice makes perfect. And that's how it is with every other thing. You continue to practice it. You can even keep a journal where it's easy for you to track your progress. Yes, because when you're able to track your progress, you're able to see new situations or behaviors that can also, make you experience new emotions, which can also make you experience new behavioral patterns and, those kind of things. So it's important for you to have self reflection. Then you practice this thing daily, daily, daily. Practice it. Practice make perfect. Journal it down. If you can call it a progress or a track journal for yourself,
Yeah.
where you'll be able to see your progress, and then with that tracking you see your feedback. You will tell yourself, this is why when I come back like this and I'm like this is what happens. When I'm excited, when I'm grateful, this is what happens. When I'm For women, when I'm on my period, I notice that this is what happens, because that also affects our mood. So in that way, you are able to reflect, practice, and give yourself feedback on how you can improve your emotional intelligence, or how your progress is, basically.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I picked, journaling, writing things down. It helps you
Mhm.
kind of create or have an evaluation analysis about yourself, right? You
Yeah.
get to know if you're improving in your emotions. The fact that you have a journal and you're writing it down, it's going to help you improve yourself. And I like the fact that you've clarified that emotional intelligence can be learned. It is
Yeah.
not,
Not
hereditary,
fixed.
because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen or heard people kind of say, emotional intelligence, I don't have it. My father did not give it to me. I did not pick that
Hey.
one from my father or pick it
Okay.
from my mother, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. Now let's look at the psychology of love, right? The psychology of love, of trust
Okay.
and communication.
Mm-hmm.
How, when it comes to the psychology of love, and trusting people and communicating with people. Now, I come from a customer service background and I know about customer psychology that changes often time. Now, coming to emotional intelligence as relating to people, how does it help in building trust? How does emotional intelligence help in building trust? First of
Okay.
all, before you answer it, it's emotional intelligence needed. What has emotional intelligence got to do with building trust, and how it, can it help in building trust?
Okay. First, let me just state there's this study that shows that people who have, okay, from the National Institute of Health, it shows that the study indicated that participants with the highest score of emotional intelligence, as people who have a very high, let's say they took a test or a survey of all of them, and they noticed that the people who have a very high IQ, sorry, EI, the high score shows that they have greater marital satisfaction, greater close affection in relationships, greater empathetic responses to people. And so, like I said in the beginning, of how relationships are built on trust, communication, conflict resolution, emotional connection, this you can't leave out emotional intelligence in all of these things, because it's true. It's when you're able to regulate your emotion, which increases your emotional intelligence. That's what helps you to prevent misunderstanding and build credibility. So let me give you the instance of the husband and the wife who, they come home and they're able to understand their emotions, they're able to understand their triggers, they're able to deal with it, handle their both from both sides, of like both the husband and the wife. You see that when they come home, there's less misunderstanding. Like the study says that there's the marriage is happier, the marriage is peaceful, the marriage, even when there's an issue, because of they understand each other's emotions and how the circle goes from the triggers to the to behavior patterns, they are able to build on their relationship, and then it prevents misunderstanding, and then it builds credibility. And when that happens, there's trust in a relationship. Do you understand? So if you
Yeah.
are able to regulate your emotions very well, there's less misunderstanding in your relationship, there's less conflict there. Even if there's conflict, there's immediate resolution, there's immediate solution, which also builds credibility in the relationship. So like I'm saying, you're linking your communication in your relationship, your resolution, your trust building, your empathy, and everything to the fact that if all these things need to work in your relationship, you have to be able to regulate and understand your emotions. And if you are able to understand your emotions, with the example I gave, then you can be able to build trust in your relationship. You can be able to communicate effectively in your relationship. And then that reduces your misunderstanding and builds trust in your relationship. So let me just give a scenario. A
Okay.
scenario where two people are speaking, and one person gives a constructive criticism and the other is reacting emotionally, and yeah, you are like expressing yourself. I feel this, I feel that, I feel this, I feel that. Now, to build trust and communication in that scenario I just gave, what you need to do is to ask yourself, what has worked? What made it challenging? What is the emotion I was experiencing at this particular time? Why did it turn out this way? Why did it turn out this way? Just like I gave the example of the husband and wife. If you find yourself in that situation, now you have to be able to ask yourself how or what these emotions that have occurred has affected both you and the partner, sorry, and your partner. That way, you build your communication, you strengthen and build your trust in your relationship. What do you?
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome,
that's it.
awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing insight on these things, because I believe that there are some people who are probably at that space at the moment, not able to communicate their feelings and not able to ask the right questions so that they know how to deal with it. All right,
Mm,
thank you very much. If you're just joining us, we are talking on building meaningful relationship, how emotional intelligence can strengthen love and friendship. So I want to ask, how can we handle conflict without emotional outburst? And this is something that almost every friendship or relationship have challenges with. I don't want to use the word have problem with, yes, but this
yeah,
is one thing that many people in relationship have not been able to, handle effectively. How can we handle conflict without emotional outburst? How can we do that? Because if we can handle it amicably, understanding ourselves, then
yeah,
some of the chaos we see today in relationship, some of the domestic violence, so to say, we see today on social media, it will get to that point. It will get to that extent. So how can we handle conflict without emotional outburst?
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so basically I want to mention three things that we can do to handle conflicts when we have emotional outbursts. Communication. We've been talking about communication, and it's very, very important. You know, there's a way you communicate to somebody that would you will know that this conversation is going to lead to an outburst or a outburst. So you have to be able to communicate effectively to a particular person. And how do you communicate, especially to your partner? Use use words that refer to yourself, because you cannot be communicating to somebody and be using a general term like that's how they used to do. I need so what I mean is use I statements. I feel you don't listen to me. I feel you don't hear me. So you're communicating your emotions. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling anxious. I feel, you're saying I feel some sort of way, and that way you are explaining to the person how you yourself you feel, not using maybe general terms or stuff like that. Another way to control or handle conflict without outbursts is listening to a particular person. Actively listening. What does active listening mean? Active listening is not just um somebody is talking and I'm just sitting down there and pressing my phone, or oh, I'm hearing you. Active listening is paying attention to the person. When the person is telling you a particular thing, you, even if you don't want to, you shall give some signs, like you drop your phone, you're asking questions like you're nodding, or you're saying did you say this. So it is you being present with that particular person. Be present with that particular person. That is how you'll be able to handle emotional outbursts. Listen to the person. There's this thing that I think I used to do it. Oh, let me not say I think I used to do it. I used to do it too. I don't know if I still do it now, sharp. But sometimes when I'm communicating with somebody and the person is upset, I the person is talking. I'm trying to, instead of listening to the person, I'm responding to listen. A bit to wait, let me see. I'm responding I'm listening to respond.
To
Sorry, I'm
respond,
very
yeah.
sorry. You get? I'm listening to respond. But that's not what active listening is. You're not supposed to listen to respond, because listening to respond means that you just want to fire each other with the conversation. I just want to give you back to back, but that's not how it should be. Actively listening, it means that you're paying attention to what the person is saying. You're paying attention to the person's body language, the person's cue. You're paying attention by asking questions. You're paying attention by paraphrasing what the person is saying just to be sure. So that way, if you are listening to the person very well, you yourself sometimes you'll be in a situation where there's an argument too, but because of you want to be right, because you want to be the one that's on the right, you would not you that's why you'll be responding, you'll be listening to respond. But if you sit back and actively listen to the person, you might start to be empathetic and understand what that person is talking about from the person's shoes. So that's why you need to actively listen to reduce or handle conflicts without emotional outbursts. Now, there's something we call I know I said three. The first one was communicating with
Communication,
yes, I feel this, I feel that, not just generic or general statements. Then the second one, like I
specific
said,
specific
yes,
things.
specific things, yes. The second one, like I said, is active listening, and I explained what active listening is. Then the last one is it is regulation of emotion. There are different emotional regulation techniques in psychology. Let me use the word. So now, how do you regulate your emotions? Or what are the techniques you can use? There are some general ones like practicing mind building, sorry, mindfulness techniques, um, deep breathing, those are the general ones. But according to this particular study by James Gorse in Stanford University, he gives five different ways to regulate your emotions. Number one, it says select your situation very well. You are in a situation where the conversation can be easily avoided or ignored, That is a way to control outburst. You are arguing with somebody, and at that moment you know that this conversation would lead to an outburst. Why don't you avoid the situation or completely remove yourself from it? So that's the first one. It says select your situation. Situation selection. Select the kind of situation you respond to. Obviously, to avoid an outburst, you have to select your situation. There are so many situations where you should avoid or remove yourself completely out of it. Now, the next one, it says modify your situation. So change the situation. Like I said the other time, put yourself in the person's shoes before you respond. Ask yourself what this person is actually saying. Does it make sense? Because if you don't take a breathe and pause and hear what the person is saying, you'll be responding or you'll be listening to respond. Then the next one is called cognitive reappraisal. Is the same thing. Interpreting the scenario, put yourself in the person's shoes, like I said. Turn the table around. Okay, this person is talking about this right now. I'm talking about this. Let me put myself in the person's shoes and understand where the person is coming from. Then focus your attention on the right thing and then respond to the particular situation. That last one is very good because most times when we have outbursts, we if I don't know, let me not say especially in Nigeria, but we will now start talking about 10 different things. We talk about the one that happened weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, 10. So focus your strategy on that particular situation. So you settle that particular situation. And that's some emotional regulation techniques that was stated by Josh James Grossman. But like I said, there are other ones. Practice deep breathing. When somebody is literally having an outburst with you and you want to remove yourself to that situation, just breathe in. People say that thing doesn't work, but it does if you know how to do it well. You just you can count 1 to 5, inhale, hold it for a while, and then exhale. You're counting 1 to 5 in those, like 1 to 5 exhale, sorry, 1 to 5 inhale, 1 to 5 hold on, 1 to 5 exhale. In the space of time when you are even counting the 1 to 5, the first one, the second 1 to 5, and the third 1 to 5, don't you think that whatever is going on around you, you
Yeah.
might not even like at some point it becomes a you definitely become shy. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah,
All
those are
right.
3 ways to help handle emotional outbursts. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think I like that five techniques to regulate your emotions, the select your situation, the
Yeah.
cognitive reappraisal. I would like you to rephrase it again. You probably just say it
Okay.
from beginning to the end so that those watching can probably don't want to jot it down. They can have those techniques again, please.
Okay, so select your emotion, your situation. Sorry, modify them by attempting to change the situation. Then cognitive reappraisal. Focus your attention, and then respond focused strategy. So that means respond to the particular scenario or situation, and not all the things that happen in 2029 or stuff like that.
All right. So select the situation,
Yeah.
modify them,
Mm-hmm.
cognitive reappraiser,
Yeah.
focus your attention on the right thing, and then
Then
respond to the right thing.
yeah.
Right? Just
Yes.
like I think it was Aristotle that said that anybody can be angry, and that's very
Mm-hmm.
simple. But the problem is getting angry for the right thing at the right time,
For
for
the
the
right
right
time.
purpose, like
Exactly.
that. So I think that quote by Aristotle sticks to this the fifth technique
Yeah.
here, respond to the right thing. Thank you so much. My audience, if you are gaining value and you are learning new things from this session, let me see it in the comment section. Drop a comment. Let's see your comment. Let's see if you are learning something new on how to build a meaningful relationship and strengthen your love and friendship life. Let me see that thumbs up. Let me see that comment. Okay, all right. Moving on. So I remember in the beginning, what we're talking about understanding emotional intelligence, you make mention about being vulnerable to your partner. Now, I want to
Mhm.
ask this question: why do people now struggle with vulnerability? Why do they struggle with being vulnerable?
Mm-hmm.
I know there could be a lot of things, that could be factored into this, right? Some could be probably their odd upbringing from the little experiences I've seen. Some could be their upbringing, but it doesn't become healthy when it comes to their relationship, their
Yeah.
friendship with others. People might tend to see them like they form, they are proud, all those kind of things. So just help us throw more light into it. Why do people struggle with vulnerability?
Okay. Yeah. People who struggle with vulnerability can stem from a lot of things, but mostly from my line of experience, I've seen that people who struggle with vulnerability usually they have some fear of rejection or anxiety, you know, or some past trauma, like you gave the example of upbringing. So something traumatic might have happened when they were young, and then they just don't know how to be vulnerable. Some people can be, okay, let me just use the exist example. People should not get angry, but some men, it can be that when they are vulnerable with women, um, there's that sort of what's that thing they used to say? It's just act. It starts to you start to see him differently, something like that. Or it can also be low self esteem. Someone who has not really been able to handle their self esteem and themselves or self love, stuff like that. So those are reasons why people actually struggle with vulnerability. And dealing with people like that is important to just I mean um communicate your needs to them, you know, communicate what you want. Let them know that this is exactly what I want. This is exactly how I want my relationship to be like. I know that this has happened to you. You can suggest for them to get help like speak to first aiders that can help them, speak to therapists, professionals, psychiatrists that can help them, and then um also try to manage your expectations, because um not everybody who's struggling with a particular thing will get healing at the same time. So people will heal at different times. So, but you need to
Yeah.
state your intentions clearly to them so that they understand where you're at. Help them get help, set boundaries, and manage your expectations. Like I said, because people who are going through stuff like this, they don't get their healings at the same time, which means you will need to clearly state what you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's been an amazing session. It's been an amazing session, an enlightening one in this live session today. I don't want to call it webinar, so they can call it a seminar or a lecture, right? Our guest today is Ogujimi Ajibola. She's a mental health expert and a certified first aider, as well as a counselor as well. So before we go into the next couple of questions, and I'd like to say this from the coming months, we are we're looking for volunteers that want to join our teams, because we want to open up room for people who may be having one or two challenges in their relationship, or already they have gone through a relationship and they want to share their stories so that other people can benefit or learn one or two things that they did that helped them overcome. Perhaps you will be able to apply things like these in your friendship, in your relationship, probably at work with your boss, managing relationship, and apply some of these things and see yourself having same result as well. So we are looking for volunteers. Before the end of the session, we will share the roles that are available for people, that people can volunteer in for, right? Okay, so thank you very much. Let's move on to the next question. And we are now going to be looking at what are practical strategies for stronger relationship. If you are just joining us, we're talking about building meaningful relationship. It's February, the month of February, and it's the season of love, right? So we thought it wise to see that we can come up with something that can help us, build meaningful relationships, strengthen our love life, our friendship with our friends, and also our professional relationship as well. Okay, so can you help us let our listeners know or give us probably 2 to 3 ways we can improve our emotional intelligence daily? I know you've talked about journaling, writing things down, keeping track of the things that you do. Can you give us maybe 2 or 3 other tips that can help us in, in building or improving our emotional intelligence on a daily basis? Because I've come to realize that emotional intelligence is not a static thing, it's something that it's improved. Like we established that emotional intelligence is learned, right? We can learn it. So just help us with 2 or 3 more tips that can help our listeners to improve their emotional intelligence daily.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. So we spoke about active listening already. We talked about regulating your emotions. We talked about journaling. Let's also talk about pause and refrain. So, what does that mean? Pause before reacting to emotional triggers. Like I said, your surface emotion, there's surface emotion, there's deeper emotion. Surface emotions are the basic five emotions, that's the five basic emotions, sorry. And then those emotions go deeper. Just like how you can be angry and there's a deeper emotion in it. You can be sad and there's a deeper. So pause and reframe. Check yourself before responding. Now, this one is very important. I've mentioned so many other ways that you can build a stronger relationship, mindfulness, deep breathing, but this is very important. Practice self care. So I know they will say, we always talk about self care a lot, but you know why they always focus on self care? Because if you take care of yourself, and take care of yourself also includes take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, all kinds. If you are able to take care of yourself, you will be able to manage other people and take care of other people. You cannot take care of yourself, of other people, and build stronger relationship. And you cannot be in a relationship with somebody and you're not able to take care of yourself emotionally and psychologically. You need to be able to practice self-care. So do things that help your emotions. Your emotions are they are like, do you get so do things that would bring out positive emotions in you. Do you understand? And that way you are able to maintain a stronger relationship with the person or with your partner. Or so practice self-care, do exercise, a mental exercise, physical exercise, eating, the little thing as eating right, sleeping right. Those things literally affect your emotion. They affect your emotions. So take them very, very seriously, because it's those things that you do to build yourself, to take care of yourself, that reflects your behavior. So you're eating healthy, you're drinking healthy, you're exercising. You'll see that constantly when you wake up the next day, your mood is better, your mood is happier, you are able to communicate well, you're just in that pleasure zone, that happiness zone, which would help you in your relationships. So you need to be able to take care of yourself. That's why I say practice self-care. Practice self-care so that you can also take care of somebody and you guys can work together to build your relationship. So I hope that
Oh, yes, yes, it does. It does help a great deal. Now, in all of these things, I want to pick self care. I know I often tell people that regardless of whatever intelligence that you may possess, your container, it's very, very important of the content that it carries. So there is no use of the water being inside the bottle if the bottle is not well packaged, if the
yeah.
bottle is not well sealed. So in self-care, regardless of what or how intelligent you are, emotionally or cognitive wise, it's imperative that you take care of yourself, because if anything happens to you, you wouldn't have that leverage to express. So it's imperative that you do what take care of yourself
Okay, with
very
yourself.
well. Taking care of yourself is very, very important. And
Mm.
that brings me to saying that we cannot rule out the word empathy from emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Empathy is very, very important. We've spoken today on letting your partner know how you feel, communicating how you feel, right? So I want to ask at this point is how to develop, how do we develop empathy and emotional connection? And it's going to be two in one question. How can we develop empathy and emotional connection, and then you just give us tips on how we can deal with emotionally unavailable people. You know, there are those set of people, they are not just emotionally available, it seems emotionally they are dead, for lack of a better word. It seems emotionally they are dead. So just give us tips on how we can, deal with those kind of people. Perhaps there are people already in such kind of relationship that their partners seem emotionally dead to them, right? So how can they deal with this set of people? Remember, we're talking about how to first of all develop empathy and emotional connection, then which now lead us in dealing with people who seem to be unavailable emotionally. Thank you very much. You're doing a great work.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so what is empathy? Empathy is literally, it's just in basic term, is putting yourself in another person's shoes to understand what the person is going through. Now, in order to develop empathy and build emotional connection, we're going back to communication. Communicate. Communication is very important. You cannot take it out because you cannot even understand another person, the person does not communicate to you. And you can't build a connection with somebody who does not also communicate with you. So, like I said earlier, use the right words to communicate. Ask open-ended questions. Now, what do I mean by open-ended questions? Don't ask a question that does not require a response. So ask a question that the person will have no choice but to respond. That's the way to build that connection. So you're asking, I'm trying to give an example. You're sure having a conversation and not the question where they say, what is this? You write a pen. What is that? No. You're asking a question like, okay, where do you see yourself in 10 years? 10 years is a lot. The person will start breaking it down for you. He cannot even give you a one sentence response. It's very
Exactly.
so ask open-ended questions where there's need for another question. It will give is an avenue for more. Because once the person says, "Oh, I see myself this in 5 years, in 2 years, in this," you too would. There's something in that I see myself in 10 years and 2 years that will prompt you to ask another question. And so it is important for us to ask open-ended questions to build communication. Ask questions, ask questions. I know sometimes I struggle with asking open-ended questions. I would ask a question and just stop. But it's a thing, like I said, that I'm because of I understand that self-reflection is important. So I'm working on it daily. So I'm asking a question or I'm making the conversation and I'm trying to help the person to continue the conversation, not just leaving it there. So also validate people's emotions. You cannot build connection with somebody if you don't tell the person, "Oh, I understand how you are feeling. I understand that you're sad at this particular time. I understand you." So if you are with somebody and you don't validate the person's emotion, then I'm sorry, the person will not, there won't be some sort of connection because it's like a wall and it breaks that connection. So validate the person. I understand how you feel. I know you feel some sort of way. I know at this point, even if you don't, you can't process it. Just like how sometimes when women are on their period and they're being extra and they're maybe being very sad or some sort of way, but men cannot understand it. You know, it doesn't mean that at that particular point. So what validating the person's emotion would be is telling the lady, even if you don't understand it at that particular point, I'm sorry you feel this way. And I feel you said your waist is paining you, or you said this. I validate your feelings, even if I don't know it. I've never experienced it. I don't understand it. I don't even know what it means. But I validate your feelings. That way, there's an avenue to build and develop connection, and it shows the person you're empathetic towards the person. That's just it. And then always try to put yourself in people's shoes because you never understand someone, even if you want to let's say you want to sorry, my line of thought. You want to communicate with someone, you have to always put yourself in the person's shoes. If the person is angry with you, put
Yeah.
yourself in the person is frustrated, put yourself in the person's shoes. That way, you first understand from the person, like I said earlier, you first understand from the person's view before responding or before jumping to conclusions or before making a decision. So, in order for us to build that connection and and develop empathy, you have to always put yourself in people's shoes so that you understand where they're coming from.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I agree.
Second,
Yes. Yes. Go. Yes. Go ahead.
second question, sorry. You talked about dealing with people who
People
are
that are emotionally unavoidable. Before
yeah.
you come to that question, I just want to add to this when it comes to empathy. I was
Mm-hmm.
in a training some time ago, in a design thinking training, and
Yeah.
for product designers, for people who are product designer here, you will agree with me in the ideation process. Empathy is the core of product design because you need to put your customers into perspective, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
in that training, we were asked to, for the ladies to put on the the men's
The
shoes,
male
and
shoes.
for the guys to put on the female shoe. The one that got to me was a high heel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was like, and we're asked to, walk from the beginning of the hall to the end of the hall, that kind of thing. So if you
Exactly.
think you know what empathy is, empathy is not reflected until you are actually feeling what the other person is feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I started seeing empathy in a different way entirely, because now I'm not just wearing the shoe of a lady, not a flat shoe, a high heel. I had to walk with it, and in my head, I'm now thinking, how do ladies do it? And some of them, because of the occasion, it's not as if it is convenient for them, but because of the occasion that they are attending, it demands them to, put on something like that, and this kind of thing. So bringing that into perspective for empathy, you need to actually feel what that person is feeling. It's not enough to say it. You need to feel it, and that will help you know your next line of thought to respond. Very, 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 very key. Empathy, it's very key and important. Yes, you can go to the next question, that how can we deal with people who seem to be emotionally
Emotionally.
unavailable? Yes.
It's just like the first question about people who are struggling with vulnerability. I would also say that you should communicate your needs clearly, let them understand what you want, set boundaries and manage your expectations. The same thing I said for the first time, and that's because at that moment, the reason why they might be emotionally unavailable would also be for the same reasons that was stated before. It could be trauma, it could be fear, it could be low self esteem, it could be so many other things. And so you cannot, like I said, healing is different for different people. Even if you say, okay, let me help you or assist you, I refer you to someone to see a therapist or a psychologist or a professional. People who start their progress, their healing is very different. Some people might take a while. So set the boundaries, communicate how you feel, manage your expectations. It might take a longer time for the person to heal, and you might have to wait. So, but yeah, like I said, clearly state it, communicate what you want, and then manage your expectations.
Okay, thank you. We are gradually coming to the end of this session. And for Highness says, you are late. No problem. The video is hosted here on YouTube. You can always go back again and, refresh yourself like a refresher course. Go back to the video again. Now, we have a question in the chat box. We will come to those questions shortly. We are getting to that point of question and answer session. Now, my line of thought just left me, but I'll come back to that. Now, you were talking about tips for dealing with people that are unavailable emotionally, and one of the things that we have played with so much on this lecture today is communication. It's very important to do what? To communicate. You cannot rule out the role of communication in a relationship, be it a romantic relationship or just a friendship or your professional relationship. Communications, it's key. For myself, as a professional trainer, when I train communication, I like to set expectations, right? There are progressions to communication, because it is inside communication we have listening. So we have listening, we have active listening, we have effective listening, and we have reflective listening. So knowing when to use each of these types of listening or kinds of listening will help you have a very beautiful relationship. But if you do not communicate, you do not communicate how you feel, remember, we are human beings. Some of us, I can't rule out the fact some people could be magicians. Even magicians may not be able to read what is in your mind. So if you do not, yes, exactly. Magicians may not be able to read what is in your mind, and that's the way God has created us. So if you do not communicate how you feel to your partner, although I'm not trying to shade ladies on this, although a lady will expect a man to know what she's thinking or what is
To
wrong
read
with
her
her,
mind.
but there is a there is a way, we are wired. We may not be able to tell what is wrong. We are not inside your mind. If you don't tell us, we will not know, right? But on a very serious note, you need to learn how to communicate. And for those in relationship, you need to understand what triggers your partner's emotion. You need to learn to, it's not enough to say I love you. It goes a long way in understanding yourselves. Both of you need to come to that point. You need to come to that place of creating that bond that you understand yourself better than anyone else, right? So very, very important. Thank you. We've played with the word communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. We cannot overemphasize communication. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that point where we will start answering your questions, and we have a couple of questions in the chat box, right? So our live sessions are always an hour 30 minutes, so we have about maybe 28 minutes for question and answers before we wrap up today's session. So let me go to the chat box and see the questions that we have in the chat box. Okay. Yes. Someone says your health counts. Says, what about a relationship where you and the other party doesn't get to communicate often? How do you build such bond? How do you build such bond? That's the question. Would you want to react to that? In
Yeah.
a relationship where you and the other party doesn't get to communicate often, how do you create a bond? How do you build such a bond?
Well, it can be hard though, I understand. But what you can do, because you're intentional about that relationship, is to continue with the conversation. It cannot. So, what I mean is that if the person is not so much of a talker and you're the one that talks more, try to have meaningful conversations. Now, like I said, ask open-ended questions that will prompt the person to respond, with more answers. Um, use pictures, use like just continue the conversation, share pictures, share information, share gifts, share things that will prompt the person to respond, not just questions or conversations that will end. And even though they end, just continue the conversation, and just those small gaps. The moment you start it and you're able to be consistent with it, listen to the person, express that you are grateful for the let me rephrase. Saying, thank you for responding. I like how we communicated today. That way, the next time when the person is continuing the conversation again, you know, I don't know, it can prompt the person to be expectant of the next conversation or share more during the next conversation. Something like that. Just try to be intentional about it, because the person is not a talker. So try to give open-ended questions and conversations that will prompt the person to continue. Use pictures, use videos, things that would prompt the person to respond.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers, that gives clarity to your question, your health count. Okay, so we have another question, and this one says, "How do one cope with a narcissist? How can one cope? Someone who is in a narcissist. How do you cope with such kind of people?"
Wow. Okay. Honestly, um, I think what you can do, because I would say if the person is a full grown adult, you cannot change the person, because the only person you can change, they say it in my church every time, is a baby or a child. When the person is an adult, you cannot change the person. So what you can do is to if you cannot leave the relationship, or let me not use the word leave the relationship. If you are in love with the person and you want to spend a quality of time or years with the person, what you can do, if you have identified that this is the same, this pattern, that narcissist pattern is the best, is what the person exhibits. Now you need to educate yourself on it so that you understand how to deal with the person and react to things. Because if you don't have the information about how somebody who is a narcissist behave, or some things that they do, some things they don't do, how you react, you will not be able to deal with the situation. And there are some things that the person will do that you might really maybe hurt you, or in any way that you might be experiencing it. But what you need to do is to educate yourself about somebody who is a narcissist, and also try to advise the person to get help. It doesn't have to be like full-blown therapy sessions. Like you can be first aid sessions or stuff like that, so that the person is able to. So with mental health issues like this, what we do is that we try to help the person understand what brings about this behavior, that's the triggers, how the person can cope with it. If the person requires additional help, like maybe seeing a psychiatrist or something, and then what are situations that would prompt the person to behave this way. So the person needs to be able to understand it. That's if the person wants to work on it. But since the person that's asking the question is not the narcissist, I'm going to say that you should please educate yourself on how a narcissist is, so that you're able to you understand and cope well in the relationship, and ask the person to get help, so that he can also work on himself and understand it. And if it's not enough, sometimes the person might need to maybe speak to a psychiatrist that will help the person feel better or act better. Yeah.
All right, all right. Thank you. And in addition to what Ajibola has said, I want to give us about maybe four tips on how you can do this, because coping with a narcissist, it can be very challenging, especially if you are in a relationship of such, either in marriage or currently in a relationship, right? So you need to I'll give you some practical tips or strategies that can help you, manage the situation. First of all, narcissists tends to be pushy. They tend to push limits, and it's very important that you set clear, firm boundaries, right? And you need to let them know what behavior you will or you will not tolerate. By sticking to boundaries, that's just trying to put yourself in a safe place. I can say, okay, set boundaries, right? Then you need to, don't take things personally, right? Because they can often manipulate, they can criticize you, they can try to belittle you. Nothing you tend to do kind of give them satisfaction, right? Because they want to boost their ego. So what you can do is that whenever they do things like, they don't take it personally. You already know this is something that is relatable to this person. So it is, if you need to find a way to help yourself and help the person, right? Thirdly, limit emotional reactions. We've talked about today how you can help yourself, how you can avoid not reacting in an emotional outburst, right? So Stay calm and try to avoid reacting emotionally to either their provocations, because it will reduce their ability to manipulate you, right? Avoid number four, avoid arguments and power struggles. For example, if you are the woman and the man is a narcissist, try if you're already in a marriage or you're in a relationship. For those in a relationship, it's already a red flag. If you see you can't cope with this person, that will be my final point of this. If you can't cope with this person, you know what to do. But if you're already in a marriage and it's almost, it's something that you got to deal with every day, as a lady, try to avoid argument and power struggles, right? The man will always want to, the natural instincts of the man always want to take control and have that ego. So for the lady, try to avoid argument. Same thing for the man as well. Try to avoid arguments and, for ladies, power struggle, because it helps you because when you are trying to prove them wrong, it's first of all, it will drain your energy, and you not enter unnecessary conflict. We have spoken about self-care. Today, Ajibola has talked about self-care. You need to deal with your, prioritize self-care by engaging in activities that will bring you peace. You guys talked about meditation. She's talked about exercises. It's going to help you. And then she also talked about a while ago seeking support, right? And then most importantly, you should know when to walk away. Especially those you are in a relationship currently, you're not married yet. You should know when to do what, know when to walk away, know when to take a walk, right? It is better that you are alive than they are telling your story when you are not there because of what happened, right? So know when to walk away if you can't take it anymore. I hope that answers or helps in that question. Okay. All right. So if you have any other question, we just have a couple of minutes to round up. For those of us still on this session, I wanted to write something in the comment section. Just write, give me one key takeaway that you have taken from this session today. One key takeaway that's going with you today before our guest gives us maybe one or two should I say summary or final words, yes, final thoughts on our topic today. We've come to that point where we'll have to say goodbye. So we spoke about volunteers at the beginning of the session or halfway the session. If you want to join a team of volunteers, you can send an email with the subject of the role that you want to partake in. The roll up information is going to come again, and you look at where the roles that are available and where you want to fit in, because we want to keep this like a series, a continuous series, because this is something that affects almost everyone, right? I will be glad if I can have someone who will want to come and share a story and how they came out of it, and so that other people can learn. If you want to remain anonymous, you can also reach out to us. An email is going to be coming on the screen shortly, so you can send an email to that email address on whatever you want us to bring up on this platform that you believe other people will benefit, gain value, and also learn from. Okay, so yes, where are my comments? One key takeaway that you are taking from today's session. One key takeaway. All right. So while you're doing that, I will allow once again our guest speaker, Ogunjimi Ajibola. She is a counseling psychologist, right? And it's a privilege to have her on this platform today. And I believe that this is not just going to be the first and last time. We will still have lots of series where she will be on board with us, right? So, Ajibola, you can just give us a final thought, and then you let people know in case they want to connect with you, how they can reach you, and also talk about your foundation, what your foundation can help do with people as well. It's an opportunity because I believe that there are people on this session or who will come later on and watch this session who will find it of value of help to them. Yes, please, you can go ahead.
Okay, so let me answer your question since nobody has answered yet. So for me, I think one takeaway is that we should first be able to understand our emotions first so that we can handle other people's own. So first start with yourself. What's that saying that we have in Nigeria that says shall deal with your own first before trying to handle other people's own. So basically, first you have to be able to understand your emotions before you can deal with another person's own. And again, okay, so as Heart Mind Helpers Foundation, we provide free mental health first aid sessions for people who want to speak with um, someone anonymously. We communicate via WhatsApp, Google Meet, whatever platform you prefer to speak with the first aider. The question will definitely be asked. Um, and at the end of the month, every last Saturday, we provide support groups for people to come, a space where you can speak and just interact with people who are going through the same thing you're going through. Yeah, so if you're to find us, sorry, you go to, we're on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Once you go to Instagram, just type official at Mind Helpers Foundation. You will see our page, and then there's a link that is there for you to register for the free first aid sessions and also to register for the support group. Then you can also reach us on via call, sorry, for if there's any emergency, someone is suicidal, self harm, anything relating to stuff like that. 09011 So it's just for emergencies only. That's if someone really needs assistance, someone is suicidal or self harm, if it has gotten to that level. But if it hasn't, you can also just reach us via WhatsApp and we will send the link to you for you to register for the support group or the free mental health first aid session. Yeah. So I'll call the number again 09011098877. So you can just reach out if you need any assistance or any help or you want to speak to a first aid and also you want to join our support group. Again, the link is also on our bio on Instagram and on LinkedIn and on Facebook, where you find us at official Heart Mind Papers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for being on the show today. We've come to the end of the live session today, and I believe that every one of us on this call will learn something new. I've learned a lot, and I believe you have also learned as well. Now, if the video is on YouTube here, you can always come back to the video in case you miss one or two things, and you also want to share with your friends and colleagues, the family members. If it has helped you, if it has given you value, you've learned new things with this topic today. Please do well to extend a helping hand to other of your colleagues and friends and family in the need so that they can also benefit from it as well. So until then, thank you for joining the session today. Until we'll come your way again sometime next month, next 2 months, or whenever. But ensure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever we are coming up again with an exciting sessions or lectures like this. Thank you, Ajibola, for your expertise. Thank you for all that you do, for the help you do for humanity. We love you and we are glad to be part of this project. Thank you for coming today. Thank you, everyone. Have it's goodbye from me to everyone. See you until we'll come your way again next time. Bye.